My name is Ronnie Cruz, and this is Path of the Network Marketer. All right, welcome back to the show. Thanks for tuning in. Today, we're going to talk about letting go of old stories. Letting go of old stories. We're getting closer to the new year, the symbolic renewal, right? And so, this is a natural time for us to take stock of our previous year, right, 2022, the things that we've done, the things that we've learned, and then look forward into the next year, 2023, and the things that we want to improve upon and change. And so part of that really requires letting go of these old stories that you're telling yourself of why things are the way they are and the limitations that you have that's keeping you in the same circumstance. Unless, of course, you don't want to change anything, right? If you love your life and if it's awesome and if there's nothing that you want to change, then you can stop this episode right now. However, I believe that there's always something that all of us, whatever aspect of life it might be, there's always something that we want to improve upon and change. Right? I'm not one to really believe in contentment necessarily, at least not in the sense of the word as how people use it, right? I'm content. I'm just gonna, I like my life the way it is, so I'm not gonna do anything different. I think that's not so much contentment, but I think it's more settling. Right, settling, because again, there are always things that we can improve upon so that we can have, an even better experience. And I'm not saying that your life experience has to be miserable for you to want to make changes, but they can always there can always be better. Things can always be better. Right, like there's always a level of discovery and things that you can experience in life that you may not have necessarily experienced before, no matter how good your life is. Contentment is, I don't think it's a real thing. As human beings, I think we all have a natural tendency to just always be looking towards the horizon anyways. I mean, that's what's driven, I think, the advancement and evolution of humans in the first place. So really tap into that and don't ignore that natural calling you have in your gut to expand and to grow and to make changes in your life, because there's so much of life left to discover for everybody, no matter how accomplished you are or how well you've done, or if you're a teenager just coming out of high school. There's a lot to discover in this world and in this life, and so I encourage you to really grasp it and don't settle. Right? Don't settle for things as they are and tell yourself you're content. That said, in order to move into whatever that next phase is, or to move into discovery and begin to start to expand yourself, you got to let go of the things that are anchoring you. And a lot of times those things are the stories we tell ourselves in our minds about the limitations. Right, limitations of, for example, network marketers. Some of the biggest ones historically. I mean, this is speaking personally too, because these are limitations I held about myself and my business. I don't know enough people. Right, I'm shy. I'm an introvert. I'm not good enough. I don't know how to do that. I don't know anything about marketing, dude. Internet frightens me. I'm just not a tech person. These are all limitations. And again, a lot of times we stop there because it's frightening to actually address those things. But we have to let go of these stories if we want to move into that next phase and expand into, it's limitless possibilities, right? And that's my philosophy of life, that there are limitless possibilities out there for you. They're just waiting for you to go out there and find them. And to find them, though, you have to detach yourself from those old stories that are anchoring you to the past. So here's the process. Number one, it's growing your awareness. Right? Self-awareness, awareness of your patterns, awareness of the stories that you're telling yourself. If you're not aware of those things, you can't change them. You can't change or control what you're not aware of. In fact, the things that you're not aware of end up controlling you. That's a nice little saying that I got from a dear friend and mentor of mine, Mr. Chris McCoy, aka Miami. Some of you who listen to the show might know him. The things that you're aware of, you can change. The things that you're not aware of, you can't change. The things you're aware of, you can control, and the things that you are not aware of, you control you. So grow your awareness. grow your awareness around yourself, grow your awareness around your own patterns of thought and the stories that you tell about yourself. And so once you gain that awareness, then it's really as simple as acknowledging those things, right? Okay, so now I know this is the pattern. I acknowledge that this particular story is what's holding me back, right? And so now I have to either reframe the story or move forward and figure out the solution for this perceived limitation. Right? And I get it. Look, it's not that I don't acknowledge, it's not that I ignore my limitations or I ignore circumstances that I'm in, right? Like, I'm not delusional. I know that they're like the roadblocks and these hurdles exist, but I don't stop there. Right? I especially don't defend my limitations and my old stories. And that's something, sometimes, that's another pattern in and of itself, right? Defending your limitations. And it comes in the form of, if you really listen to your own language, by growing your self-awareness, then growing your ability to listen to yourself. If you use the phrase, yeah, but, that's an indication that you're defending your limitation, right? I hear it a lot, and I know I'll continue to hear a lot, and so that's why I address that pattern. When I give people advice, oftentimes the response is, yeah, but ... right? It's okay. Yeah, I get it. But again, we don't want to defend our limitations. We want to figure it out, right? We want to find the solution. So stop using "yeah, but" as in your language, and really just get to work trying to figure it out, right? Because the limitation isn't a limitation. It's only a limitation if you let it be, right? A limitation is a problem to solve. And again, I don't ignore these things. I don't ignore reality. I'm actually very, very pragmatic. I get to work figuring it out. Right? Yes, I'll recognize and acknowledge the limitation and that story. Let me see what I can do to figure it out. For example, I knew nothing about marketing. I knew nothing about online marketing, especially. I knew nothing about building a social media presence. Well, I wasn't going to let that continue to be my limitation of me expanding my business. So I got to work figuring it out, and I'm continuing to figure it out as I go. But the main thing is I made the decision that, okay, that's not a limitation. It's just something to figure out. So that's the second step. Grow your awareness, and then recognize and acknowledge the limitation. And then the last thing is just get to work, right? Get to work, implement and correct the things that you need to correct, right? Yeah, figure out solutions. And you're not going to necessarily figure it out at the very first shot, your first try. You may have to give it a go a handful of times. I mean, I've told my story time and time again of how it took me nearly 7 years, 6.5, 7 years to start really making progress in my business. So yeah, I mean, like I kept hitting I kept coming up against a brick wall, coming up against these hurdles and on my journey to build my business. But yeah, I kept trying, right? I definitely didn't think I was going to figure it out in the first go, but I was willing to fail as many times and to get it wrong as many times as it took, so that I can eventually create the results and the outcomes that I wanted in my life. So that's it. Yeah, just get to work figuring it out, and understand that you may not figure it out immediately, and that process of figuring out the answer is a process, right? I think I talked about that in a couple episodes back. It's a process. It's a journey, and you will learn as you go, and you'll continue to expand as you go, and that's the important thing. So the three things are: grow your awareness around yourself and around those patterns, acknowledge and recognize and acknowledge the stories that are your limitations, and then get to work figuring out the solutions, right? Yeah, it's really simple. And it's these are important things to consider, again, moving into the new year, the symbolic renewal of time, because if you don't want your 2023 to look the same as your 2022, then you're going to want to implement this process, right? So that's my message for today. Hopefully it makes sense. If not, come join us on our Facebook community. Well, come join us on our Facebook community anyways. We can continue having this discussion. It's facebook.com/groups/path of the network marketer. I'll leave the link in the show notes of this episode. But that's it for now. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you in the next one. So until then, be well, be safe. We'll see you in the next episode.